Well, hello, everybody. How are we doing today? Give me a big thumbs up in the chat if you can hear me. Hi, hello, how are we? And I see Patricia saying, hello from Southern California. It's winter hours now, 67 degrees. Pfft, get out of here with that. Teasing us here that are sitting here in North Faces and everything, bundling up, getting ready for winter. Talking about your California winter. Pfft, malarkey. Go to Ithaca, New York in the middle of winter. So I see we got Agent School in the chat. Hello, everybody. Oh, Joe is here. Awesome. So, guys, first and foremost, what I want to do is I want to welcome you to the wonderful, amazing Agent School training that we're going to be doing tonight. And what are we going to be doing? We're going to be talking about carrying a conversation. Carrying a conversation. So when we were talking about the outline of different webinar topics, I'm sure that you guys could imagine the glee and delight that I had when I saw that one of the topics that we were considering doing webinars on was going to be carrying a conversation, because I was like, I think that I could do that pretty well. And I will tell you this. So for those of you who aren't familiar with my real estate career, because a lot of you guys know me from exam prep, right? From me sitting here helping you guys out with the prep agent webinars, helping you pass your exam. What I want to make sure you do is you realize we're on our new channel right now. So please, if you haven't already, subscribe to this channel. Make sure you hit that like button too, because that does help us out as we are growing this channel. We're going to be putting more webinars on here. So what I want to do tonight, you'll see there's not a lot of motion that's going to be going on the screen, because something that I'll tell you is this is going to be an interactive thing, because carrying a conversation is an A-B kind of thing, right? It's me and you, so it's Stu and you. And what we're going to be doing is this. We're going to be talking about some of the key points that you want to talk about when you're working with a buyer, some of the key points that you want to talk about when you're working with a seller. So what we're going to be doing is we're going to be talking about some sales techniques as well, because I think part of the conversation, here's the thing. We have conversations in real estate, and we have conversations in life so that we could move the ball forward in regards to getting information, in regards to developing relationships. So that is definitely why we have conversations. So this is what I want to ask you guys. I want you to type in the chat right now. Who thinks they are really good at conversation? Like you're amazing at people skills. Tell me who in the chat. Give me some thumbs up. Give me some big smiles. Let me know if you think that you are an amazing conversationalist. Okay, I see Hunter Henning. It's Janet, one of our graduates in the chat. Awesome. Love seeing you guys in the chat. Love seeing some people that went from our exam prep, our prep agent webinars, passed the exam and then came over to here. Someone said I rate myself a 7 out of 10 at conversations. So here's what I'm going to tell you guys. And a lot of you guys are saying that you are amazing at conversation. Something that I will tell you, I don't know if you realize this about me, but I love conversation. I love talking. So someone said they speak 7 languages. So that's what I will tell you this. You speak 7 languages. That's awesome. So what I'm going to tell you about being an amazing conversationalist, there's some key points. So what I want to ask you guys is this. I want to put some Post-it notes up here about some key points about how we become better conversationalists. So think about what I want you to do is this. I want you to close your eyes, okay? Well, actually, don't close your eyes, because what I'll need you to do is type in the chat for a little bit for me. What I want you to do is this. I want you to think about a really great conversation you had. Maybe it was a conversation with a new broker. You were interviewing with someone. Maybe it was a conversation with a loved one, a family member. Think about a great conversation where you walked away and you were like, oh my God, that was awesome. You know, maybe you just got off the phone with your best friend and you had belly laughs and you were just sitting there having a great time. What I want you to do is this. I want you to think about that now. Let your fingers do some walking. I want you to tell me Why was that conversation memorable? Okay. Why was that conversation memorable? So, what made it memorable for you? What was something that made that conversation absolutely fantastic for you? So, I'm going to put some things in here, okay? Because I'll tell you some things that always make things memorable for me, okay? Good evening, friends. Yeah, someone said, wow, 7 languages, right? Seven. I speak, you know, English and and maybe music. I could read and write music. So that's about it with me. I don't have any other lingual skills. Joseph made something really great. He said the connection they made with me. Oh my gosh. You know what? That was absolutely a fantastic one. Easy to talk to, easily relatable. Yeah, absolutely. So easily relatable. Okay. Love relatable. Okay. It was interactive and we both had things to share and say. Ooh, I like that. We laughed, we connected. Okay, okay. I like the laughing part. Yeah, that's really something that I love. You don't know this, but I'm going to tell you a little secret about me because here it is. We're having a conversation. I'm asking you about some of the things that were good and a memorable conversation that you had, and I'll tell you a little something about me. And I have a great question that came in. I just want to interrupt my train of thought, and then I'll tell you the little secret about me. Any key points for introverts who are limited on their conversations? Mrs. Stew. Mrs. Stew is one of the most introverted peoples you will ever meet. She is not an extrovert. She is very much so not the social butterfly. So it's one of those things, opposites attract. And it actually goes to some really great conversations. Typically, really great conversations come from actually, listening a lot or actually feeling that you walked away, from the conversation where there's a good give and take. A lot of you guys are putting things in here where there's really great connections between the two of you. So it works really well because I'm a natural extrovert. Don't know if you could tell, but what happens is this. So when I, speak with, Mrs. Stew, she basically, really counteracts my overly aggressive, happy, outgoing extrovert mentality with that really great balance. So it works really well. So as far as a tip for introverts, okay, I will tell this. Your active listening skills are going to be absolutely super key. Okay. Active listening. I'm awful at active listening. I try to get better. It's something I have to consciously work on. And understand this, that introverts, you're going to have to find ways as an introvert to keep the conversation moving, okay? And there's going to be things that I'm going to give you, tips and tricks as we move along in this webinar, that are going to help you make sure that you're actively listening, you're engaged, and you're moving that ball forward, okay? So, and that's something that introverts are going to see, that you're going to just struggle with, kind of trying to find the yin and the yang, okay? Lily said, I'm also an introvert. Yeah, absolutely, Brielle said, I'm the talker in my marriage. I literally could talk to a wall for a very long period of time. Actually, what's funny is that other than you guys typing here, this is, if you were just an outsider looking in, I'm just sitting here in front of a screen talking for 45 minutes. I make myself laugh. I tell myself jokes. So yeah, I mean, you guys, we have a lot of fun when we're in the webinars together. So what I'm going to tell you is this. So again, I was going to tell you a little secret about me. So you guys don't know this, okay? And actually, I think Joe might have just learned this about me. If not, this is going to be a secret to him too. I used to perform stand-up comedy in New York City when I was in my late teens, early 20s. I actually got people paid me to tell jokes. I was the guy up on stage with a microphone going ba-dum boom. So I was I was always someone who loved being out there, doing the communication and being kind of the ringleader. And Joseph asked a question: is this? Can you be both? I feel like I can enjoy being alone and not being social, but when I'm out being social, it feels natural to talk as well. Well, I'll tell you this. Typically, what happens is when we talk about introverts and extroverts, especially when it comes to communicating, typically someone who is an extrovert wants to be more dominating in the conversation, and that's what happens with me. Okay, I typically go through a conversation, and I tend to be the bull in the china shop, where I want to barrel through the conversation, and I want to pick up key points and then just keep going and get all my stuff out there. And I will tell you this, that is not a good way to necessarily feel and understand exactly exactly what the situation is. And that's not a good way for you to potentially come out of a situation where the buyer, seller, tenant, landlord, where they feel like they've been heard or they feel like it was a good conversation. So some of the things that you guys said was that there's a connection when you have a good conversation, right? There's a connection between the two of you, and you cannot connect when you're dominating that conversation, okay? And also, too, you can't just let them just go on and on and on and on and on, because what happens is you want to direct a little bit of that energy, too. So let me ask you this, because I asked about a good conversation. So I'm going to put now, and I'm going to put these all on one side. So that's a good conversation, right? Laughing. I'm going to tell you something interesting about laughing in a second, too. So what do you think might be attributes of a bad conversation? So think about a bad conversation that you had. Could be an argument, could be something else. What were some things? What were some breakdowns in a bad conversation? Awkward, yeah, awkward. Like that. There was no connection. It was awkward. There was a disagreement. Terrible listener. Okay. I like this. You guys are saying some really great things. Not so bad listener. Okay. They were interrupting. Okay, that's like that knock knock joke. Knock knock. Who's there? Interrupting. What is it? It's interrupting who? Interrupting a cow, and then it's like interrupting moo. And then I totally botched the joke, and you can see now why I do real estate exam prep and I do not do stand up comedy anymore. They were off topic. Okay, no laughter. The person was focused more on their phone than their conversation. Oh my gosh, yeah, that's a big one for me. That's a big pet peeve. It's a big pet peeve. Twitter face. That's what I call it. I call it the Twitter face. What are you doing? What are you looking at? What are you looking at on your phone? Okay, looking uninterested, disengaged. Yeah, no eye contact. Yeah. Eye contact, huge. Yeah. So when you're in person with people, eye contact, that is a big one. I like that. So here we have a really great, and what I want you to do is I want you to take a look at this. So we have a really great kind of mix. So we have some things that really make a good conversation, right? Connection, easily relatable, laughing. Okay. So Cynthia writes this one, and I want to see if this is a good one. I don't even know what it is. Mr. Stu, I received a call the other day. It talked a 30-minute phone conversation and when I hung up the phone, I was asked who that was, and I said, "Oh, that was a wrong number." Yeah, I've done stuff like that. So we have a lot of things here, and I think that what I want you to do is this: I want you to understand that all of these seem like opposites of one another, right? So look at this, and I mean, here, look at this. Listen, I didn't even plan it this way. You guys just, because you know what happens is the truth is actually odder than anything else. So watch this. Connection, awkward. You see that? So we could say connection or no connection, okay? Easily relatable, bad listener. They didn't listen to what I was saying, okay? They didn't laugh. They were awkward, right? No eye contact, okay? They had Twitter face, okay? Maybe I talk too much. It was a joke. Mike said, I'm late as usual. Sorry. Don't you worry about this, because we also have these. This is going to be on the Agent School website. So if you on the Agent School YouTube. So remember, this is my mid-time thing. So Mike, guess what? What I want you to do specifically Mike, and anyone else who might be in Mike's boat, if you haven't already, hit that subscribe button, hit the like button, because again, we're trying to grow this channel so that more people find us. us. And that starts with you guys sharing and saying, oh my God, this Stu guy's awesome. We learned a lot of things. So here's the thing here. We're talking about what makes a really good conversation. And let's talk about specifically talking to buyers and sellers. And that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to break down the conversation that you should be having with a buyer and a seller, and what are things that you should be doing in order to obtain things so that you understand what it is that is going to help you, okay, that is going to help you in your business. Because bottom line is this, I don't know if you know this, but the bottom line is, here at Real Estate Exam, when we were just doing that, and we're doing the prep agent stuff, okay, well, what happens is this. When we're doing prep agent stuff and we're studying for the real estate exam, we're studying to pass the exam. Very clear goal. So why are we having a conversation about having quality conversations? Well, today we are looking to make sure that we have great connections and we create amazing referrals, okay? So let's talk about buyers, okay? So watch this. You ready? You ready? I'm going to introduce you to a new family, a new buyer, okay? They've never met you before. Maybe they're at an open house. I don't know where they met you. I don't know where this first conversation is, okay? But what I want you to do is this. I want you to tell me what you think some goals are, okay? Some goals are for having a conversation with the buyer. You're having a first conversation with them. What's some of the things that you want to understand? What are maybe some questions that you want to ask them? What are some questions that you want to ask them? So maybe they might be working with you. Maybe they may not. What are some questions? And I'll tell you some things. I want you to type that into the chat. And I'll also tell you some things that I think are really big ones. Yeah, I see a couple question faces. Find out their goals. Okay. So their desires in a new home. Hey now. Okay. So their desires in a new home. Right? Desires in a new home. That's not a bad one. Okay. Occupation. Are you working with another agent? Listen. Some people, you're going to hear this that I tell you guys. I never ask people if they're working with another agent. You know why? Okay. Listen. I'm going to tell you something. Okay. When you come on to Prep Agent, right? So most of you have met me on Prep Agent, right? So you've seen me there. Okay. When we first met on Prep Agent, what was something that I didn't ask you? Okay. Someone said they want to hear Joe and Stu role playing as an agent and a buyer. Oh my gosh, Joe, if you're still here or if you're watching on recording, we have to do a role play like that. That would be really great. Fantastic. I would have a ton of fun with that. However, what I'm going to tell you is this. Something that we didn't do when we first came on, you first were introduced to me on a Prep Agent webinar. I didn't ask you guys, hey, are you using any other real estate exam prep software? Right? Are you using anyone else? Are you with anyone else? No. Why? Because listen, dirty little secret. Prep Agent and the Stu crew, we're the bee's knees. So guess what? You haven't met me yet, but what I do is I earned your trust through being absolutely fantastic, amazing, awesome. High five. You loved it. You loved the webinar and you kept coming back to me. Didn't need to ask you if you were doing anything else because guess what? I knew that you needed the bang, bang, boogie, woogie. You needed a little bit of energy, a little bit of liveliness into your exam study. And that's what I delivered to you guys. Okay. So what happened was we didn't have that conversation up front. Like, hey, are you working with anyone else as far as real estate exam prep? Okay. So what happened was we work on the assumption of I'm going to show you how amazing I am. Okay. So I never asked them, okay? Janet said, exactly, I missed you. Well, guess what? Now you found me at a new home over here on Agent School, so I'm going to be here all the time doing some Agent School webinars like this. So someone said, what are your price points? Okay, and I like this one because I'm going to start talking about this. Or you know what else? Pre-qualified. Pre-qualified. Because a lot of you guys always say, oh, you got to pre-qualify your buyer. Right? You got to pre-qualify them, right? Who has heard that? Who has heard from someone? How long have you been seriously looking? How long have you been seriously looking? I like that. So you ready for this? How long have you been seriously looking? Okay. So we have a couple questions that we could ask these buyers that we just met. Hey, I just met you, and this is crazy, but let's get to know you, and I'm not lazy. So size of family. So you ready for the killer question? The killer question? The killer question, okay? And it goes with the story. And I've told this story before, but I don't know if all of you have heard it, okay? This is the killer question. What is the reason you are starting your home search? What is your current discomfort? Why is that the killer question? I'm going to tell you why. Listen, it answers a lot of things. Okay? And I'm going to put that right over the buyers. Right there. So why is this the killer question? And I'm going to explain it. Because a lot of people say you have to pre-qualify your buyer. You always have to pre-qualify your buyer. And I say malarkey. And you're probably saying, Stu, why are you saying malarkey? Why are you saying that that's not the most important thing? Don't we need to know if they're pre-qualified to buy? So, I'm going to tell you why that's a bad thing. Because I had a buyer that was working with an agent of mine. Now, this buyer was a hedge fund manager, had so much money. Okay, have you ever seen DuckTales? Okay, DuckTales, woo! So Scrooge McDuck is diving into his vault of money. Okay, this guy was 30 years old, okay, and literally had a Scrooge McDuck vault of money. Okay, super qualified. Like could buy about 5 to 6 homes cash, like no problemo. So we qualified him. We did that. But here's what I'm going to tell you. My agent took him out on 10, 15, 20 appointments. He would put in junky offers, okay? See if he could get it home, okay? And he never, ever, ever put in a really good offer, okay? Never put in a good offer. So one day what happened was this. I said to him, I called him up, and I said, hey, this is Kathy's manager, Stu, and I'm wondering, I said, we've been on a lot of appointments. I said, and I know you're pre-qualified. I said, you're super qualified. I get it. I said to him, I said, so you know what? I said, I want you to buy me a steak dinner, and I want to sit down and have a conversation with you. He laughed, and he agreed to the steak dinner because I needed to ask some killer questions. So I said to him, this is what I said to him. We sat down, and of course I ordered my steak. And I was like, well, since you got the bill tonight, I was like, we're going for the Wagyu. We're going bougie. So I ordered my steak, and I sat down and I looked at him, and I said to him, I said to him, so why are you looking for a home? What is the reason you started your home search? What is your current discomfort? I said to him, I said, how uncomfortable are you with your current living situation? And this is what he said to me. So again, I have a super qualified buyer that says to me this. Well, I have so much money that everyone said to me that I should really be living on my own. Okay. I should be, out on my own. I said, okay, so where do you live? He said, oh, I live at my parents' house. And keep in mind, he's 30. Okay. And I said to him, I said, oh, you live at your parents' house? He goes, yeah. He said, I live in my basement. I said, can you tell me more about your day? Like, what's your day like? I said, I'm just curious. I said, I've never been a hedge fund manager with more money than God. I said, so walk me through this. And I wanted to see where his mentality was. So watch this. He says to me, well, I go to work. He said, I come home around 6 or 7. He said, my mother, she doesn't work because, I have more money than God. So I could basically, pay for her to stay at home. And she cooks me a home cooked meal. And, I have my basement all to myself with a separate entrance. He's like, yeah. I said to him, I said, you don't sound uncomfortable at all. He goes, no, I'm not uncomfortable at all. I said to him, I said, I don't think you're motivated to buy a home. He goes, I don't think so either. I said, okay, so I'll finish my steak dinner. I said, thank you so much. I was like, why don't we start the home search again when you're, ready to buy? Or I said, why don't we look at some investments for you? So Listen to what I'm going to tell you. We had a super qualified buyer, and because we didn't ask him the right questions or have the right conversation up front, asking those killer questions, what's your current discomfort? There's a rabbi on YouTube, okay, that talks about why a lobster sheds its shell. So does anyone know why a lobster sheds its shell? Like what is the stimulus for a lobster shedding its shell? Okay. So, yeah, it's interesting to grow. So, okay, so here's the thing. But how does the lobster know to? So, what happens is this. So someone's saying to me it molts. Yes. So what makes it molt though? What is the stimulus? So what happens is it's extreme discomfort. What happens is this. The lobster, and I'm oversimplifying it. So for those of you who know the whole process, okay, I'm going to oversimplify it because just like this rabbi did. The reason for growth, the reason to shed the shell and go into and basically, have this other shell is it's uncomfortable. Okay? Listen to what I'm going to tell you. Show me a hedge fund manager with more money than God that is super qualified, that lives in his parents' basement, gets home-cooked Italian meals every day, and I'll show you someone that has absolutely zero motivation to buy. Show me somebody who has two nickels to rub together, but has the utmost motivation to get into a home, and I will show you someone that will buy, that will be more, what was I going to say? More realistically purchasing a home than that hedge fund manager. But if you go through the mentality of, I have to get them pre-qualified. So you ask them, hey, are you working with an agent? Hey, are you pre-qualified? This is talking about that conversation that you should be having with that buyer. You shouldn't be asking the wrong questions. Also, listen to what else I said to him, okay? And this was something that I don't know if you guys picked up on this at the dinner, okay? First and foremost, always remember that the conversation is always about them. And here's a great thing that I will tell you that is really good. And I'm going to also go through some things that were in Chris Voss's book, which is Never Split the Difference. Chris Voss is actually an FBI negotiator, and some of his videos, some of his stuff is absolutely fantastic and about delivering conversations and short snippets. So I'm going to give you some Chris Voss stuff because I'm not reinventing the wheel here. So one of the things that he always does to move the conversation forward without adding anything else is this. You say to the person, well, can you tell me more about that? So if you notice in my conversation with the hedge fund manager, he was basically telling me a little bit of snippets, little things. And then what happens is nod your head in agreement, go, that sounds really interesting. Could you tell me more about that? It's a great question. Someone said Chris Voss is the GOAT. And for those of you who don't know what the GOAT is, it's not Baba GOAT. GOAT is the greatest of all time. Chris Voss he's fantastic. So I always give credit, give props, and give you little nuggets too. Like if you guys want to learn more about this, if you want to get in depth with some of these trainings, webinars, stuff like that. So the book is called Chris Voss Never Split the Difference. Okay. Negotiating book. He's an FBI negotiator. One of my favorite people that specializes in that field. So someone said, thank you for explaining GOAT. Yeah. So if you ever see someone say, oh, they're the GOAT, that means the greatest of all time. It's an abbreviation. So what happens is this. Always say, tell me more about that. Hey, can you tell me more about that? It's a great way to move a conversation forward. Or here's another thing that I used in that dinner. I said to him, so here's where it really got him kind of like hooked into telling me kind of just how he feels and kind of showing me how much he really wasn't uncomfortable with his situation. So he said to me this, and this is exactly how the conversation went. He said, yeah, I come home and I get home-cooked Italian meals. And this is what I did. I said, home-cooked Italian meals? And then he said, yeah, my mother makes this absolutely fantastic fantastic lasagna. It's absolutely fantastic. So guess what? Two things that I want you to walk away with. Two things that I want you to walk away with right here in this conversation. Thing one, tell me more about that. That's a way for you to seem engaged, seem interested, okay? And for you introverts who have no, like you're like, I don't know how to have a conversation. I don't know how to do the back and forth. Listen, you could literally, when someone stops talking, you go, if you just sit there and go, wow, that sounds interesting. Can you tell me more about that? You know, that they will elaborate and they will keep going. It's an open-ended invitation for them to get excited about something, especially if someone's like excited or they're talking about something, or also that mirroring, okay? That mirroring where what happens is they say something and then all you do is use an inflection, okay, in your voice and repeat what they said. So watch this. If I said to you, yeah, I was a stand-up comedian in New York City. You go, a stand-up comedian in New York City? I'd be like, oh my God, it was so fantastic. And see, all you're doing is repeating, okay? You're repeating it, okay? So, like, okay, Brielle Smith just typed in, well, the irony, I'm making manicotti right now. I'd be like, if me and Brielle were sitting in front of each other, and I'd be loving this if we were, because she's making manicotti. So I'd say, you're making manicotti? And all you do is you take what they said. You're not adding anything to the conversation, but what you're doing is you're giving an opportunity for them to springboard and elaborate, okay? And it feels very natural. So work on that. Think about that. Try doing that with your spouse, your significant other. So they come home and you say to them, so like I do this sometimes with my wife. So Mrs. Stu, she's not here right now, but what I'm going to tell you is this. So sometimes she does that. I would come home and I would do this. I'd say, so honey, how was your day today? And she go, I had a lot of, there was crazy. Like the other day, she said to me, we had a bearded dragon at the animal hospital. I'd be like, oh, can you tell me more about that? She go, yeah. I mean, the bearded dragon was like this weird color, and it had like this. And literally, all I did was say, tell me more about that. Just act engaged, nod your head. So you can't see me nodding my head up and down, but we're also doing that, right? So if I say to you so someone said, I have a friend that she does that to me a lot. Yeah, because it's a great way to move that conversation forward, okay? So what I will tell you is this. Another thing that I love doing when I'm talking to buyers is I say to them, this is another technique I use. I ask them, hey, Mr. or Mrs. Buyer, okay, what does your future promise look like to you, okay? What does that future promise look like to you? So if you could paint the perfect picture for yourselves, what is that? Now, here's the thing. First couple things they say, those are the most important things. Think about that. That's the most important things. So it doesn't matter price point. It doesn't matter anything else. So all you guys are talking about price points, how many bedrooms, how many bathrooms, those are intangibles, okay? So listen, if you understand why someone's moving, you could tailor it and you could find the right home and you could kind of move pieces around. Maybe they don't need 4 bedrooms. Maybe they think they do, but really their discomfort right now is that they don't have a big enough living room because they're living in a small townhome. Like, I'll tell you this, perfect example, okay? Someone said, we covered this training in different brokerages. Yeah, absolutely. A lot of brokerages do offer trainings like this. And keep in mind, too, with my background, I've trained at various different brokerages. So what you're getting, I actually used to be a trainer for some of the top brokerages in the country. So a lot that have .com after their names and all that kind of stuff. So I'm telling you things that are trainings that you're basically getting a small little snippet of a course that I would be teaching at some of those larger corporations. So that's why, here's the thing. If you guys have not already, remember, smash the like button, hit subscribe, because that's super important for us to grow this channel so that we can continue to offer this too. So what I will tell you is this. When you're working with a buyer, they talk about, you want to talk about what that future promise is. And someone mentioned dealerships. So I think you're talking about car dealerships, and I'll tell you this, I've actually trained, I've trained car salesmen because a lot of the sales technique, it's not too far off, right? It's not because it's about a conversation. And one of the things that they always say when you're in a car, they're always like, can you picture yourself in this? Can you picture yourself in this home? When you're touring with somebody, now, what I always do is this. What I'm going to tell you is another thing about moving the conversation forward and how you and how you grow within working with a buyer. So we talked about some of those tips when you first start working with them. You want to know their future promise. You want to know what their motivation is, what their discomfort is, okay? And what I'm going to do is this. I'm going to tell you something that I learned very, very early on, okay? Early on in a, what was I going to say? In my real estate career, okay? I used to show multi-million-dollar homes. We're talking bougiest of bougies, okay? There was one time where Stu got lost in a 24,000 square foot home and the cell phone coverage wasn't that great. So I literally sat in a corner and I just waited for someone to eventually find me. So I've sold some craziness, some crazy, crazy, crazy homes. But what I want to impress upon you is this, okay? Listen. You must understand optics, okay? Watch this, and I'll never forget this. And I saw this happen when one of my agents, I was training a new agent on showing multi-million-dollar homes. And I didn't realize this at the time, but here's what they did. And I need you to picture this. Close your eyes. This is a close eyes kind of experience. So you ready? They're going into this home. This home has one of the most grand foyers that you've ever seen in your entire life. The agent steps in, stops, is absolutely stunned at how amazing this is. And this is what the agent does, okay? Like out of a literal SpongeBob SquarePants cartoons. Looks up, looks around, and goes, whoa. But picture this. Me and the buyers are standing outside looking at the agent's back and watching him go, whoa. Now, who should be experiencing that amazing, wonderful whoa? The buyer. Never, ever, ever, ever walk in front of the buyer. Let them experience everything. Let them open the door. Let them get out of the way. Okay, that is the like the killer thing. If you're showing a home, never, ever, and never, ever, ever, ever. Listen to me. Never give your opinion about the home. Okay. Never give your opinion about the home. Never give your opinion about the home. Your opinion, do you know what your opinion matters? Your opinion matters. Okay? So, that is the situation. Your opinion matters. And that's actually an official thing. So if you actually want to go into any of the top brokerages, if you want to go into Keller Williams, EXP, Zillow, now it's a brokerage. If you want to go into any of their brokerages, you'll actually see on a point where it says, hey, does your opinion count as a buyer's agent? And it'll actually say, according to Stu, no. So what I'm going to tell you is this. What you want to do is this. You want to ask them open-ended questions about this. So what is it that you think about this property? What is it you think about this? Okay. That is something that is absolutely fantastic. Stand in the middle of a room. Also, too, listen to what I'm going to say. Understand this. Never, ever, 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 ever. So I'm giving you some tips about showing a home now. And I know that and the reason why I'm doing this is because this has to go to the conversation about doing different things. One thing that I want to tell you about showing a home, because I just love going off on my little left turn tangent sometimes. One other piece of advice, never, ever go into a bathroom with them. Never do it. It makes it feel super small. Always wait out in the hallway, even when they're going into bedrooms and things like that. So what if they ask for your opinion? This is what I tell them. I say, you don't want my opinion. I am totally willing to live in a you do not want to live in the house that I'm willing to live in. We have different tastes. That's the situation. Okay, you never ever want to give your opinion, because bottom line is you have to go to, well, how does this compare to what you had in your head? You know, what you pictured your future promise to be. And I always refer to it as that. I say your future promise because I always make them realize that they're kind of promising something to themselves. Like that's part of that conversation that we're having, okay? Part of that conversation is kind of reiterating that, saying, hey, this is your future promise, okay? Remember you were you had a discomfort that you were trying to solve. That's why you came out. That's why you met me, okay? What does that future promise look like to you? How does this match up to it? Okay. How does this work? All right. So that is the situation there. Okay. So unless it's $1 million bathtub, no, I don't even, if it's $1 million, if it's $1 million home, no, never, ever, 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 ever say that. Never go into the bathroom because it's always going to make it seem smaller than it is. There's no reason to go into the bathroom. Wait in the hallway. Let them kind of roam around. And also let them lead the way. Here's the thing. If they make a beeline to the kitchen, great, fantastic. Also, talking about conversations to have in a home when we're talking about working with buyers, okay? When we're talking about working with buyers, one of the things that you want to make sure that you understand is never, ever, ever feature dump. I actually saw an agent, and most agents, listen, most bad agents do this. No stew agents do this. Listen. I know all you guys out in the stew crew. You guys are going to be fantastic, amazing, wonderful agents, and you would never give your opinion because remember, what's your opinion worth? It's worth official. And what you want to remember is this. You don't want to tell them no duh things. So, like, if you don't have anything that's going to move the conversation forward, don't go into the kitchen and go, this is the kitchen. That's a beautiful granite countertop. Never give your opinion. Why? Because they might think, oh, my God, that's really ugly granite countertop. Okay? And they might not want to tell you that that it is an ugly granite countertop because what's going to happen is this. They may not agree with you, and then they're never going to give you that true information. That's why you don't give your opinion. So they'll dump you. Yeah, they will dump you. Janet Hunter, yeah, they will dump you. Because here's the thing. It makes them feel awkward. So what I always do is I always warmly welcome their opinion. I'm like, so what do you think about this? Because here's the thing. My wife, Mrs. Stu, listen, bless her little heart. Mrs. Stu and Stu have a very different opinion about what a quality kitchen is. Mrs. Stu thinks that a white on gray kitchen is the best. It is far superior than any other kitchen that there could ever be in the history of kitchens, okay? And then Stu thinks that the best kitchen that you could ever have is going to be a rustic, European, wonderful, amazing. Like I pictured those copper pots hanging from the kitchen. Oh, that's what I see, okay? That's what I see. So someone asked, hi, guys, is it fair to say to the buyer, my opinion is whatever is at your best interest in finding this future home? That sounds salesman-y. Sounds salesman-y. So here's the thing. You want to come off genuine. You don't want to do the, you don't want to sit there and sugarcoat it, okay? So what I do is this. I talk to him. I go, how does this line up with what you were picturing? How does this line up with what you're picturing? Talk to me about that. Make it super simple. Someone said, my dad says the wife is always right. Listen, my wife is correct about 104% of the time. That is a mathematical impossibility. However, I let her believe it. So, can you give your opinion if the whole house smells like cat urine? Well, here's the thing. It does. Listen, if the whole house smells like cat pee-pee, okay, my question to you is someone going to buy that home? Yes, probably. Could that someone be your buyer? Maybe. Here's the thing. The answer basically is this. Well, just because it's an awful house in your opinion, okay, doesn't mean. Listen. If they were saying to you, just go find me a house, okay. If they were saying to you, just go find me a house, then guess what? That's fine. That's absolutely awesome, So what I would tell you is this. There are some people who might go in and might, smell the cat pee-pee and go, no, we could totally get rid of that because, we did that in our old house. So, you don't know what they're thinking unless they say it. So don't put thoughts into their head. Part of carrying on that conversation, part of having that conversation with with your buyer, okay, part of having the conversation with your buyer is listening. Remember about those good things that we were talking about early on, right? What makes a good conversation? Connection, right? So here's the thing. What doesn't make good conversation? Bad listeners. Do you know what makes bad listeners? Spewing out your opinion like blah, 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 blah. That's not a listener. That's here's my opinion, okay? So basically, here's the thing. Listen to them. Instead of saying more things, ask them, tell me more about that. Tell me more about how you feel about this home. Let me hear it. What's going on? What's going through your head? That is the situation there. So guys, what I'm going to ask you is this. I want you to tell me, because this was listen, I had a ton of fun doing this webinar with you guys. I had a ton of fun, okay? But I have a bougie steak in the fridge that I got to go cook. So I want you to do this. If you like this one, okay, remember, you have a job. You have a job. You got to hit that like button. You got to hit that subscribe button. And what I'm going to do is this. Someone said I'm here for the sound effects. Well, just for you, I'm going to say pew, 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 pew. So, listen. What I'm going to tell you is this. Janet Hunter said it was excellent. So, yeah, I want to get some thumbs up here. Give yourselves a gold star, guys, because I know that this is a little different than some of you guys might have experienced on the real estate exam prep, you know, in regards to working with Prep Agent and things like that. So it's a little different, you know, because I'm not asking you a question. Someone said more agent school. Absolutely. There's going to be a ton more agent school. You guys were awesome. So this is the situation. Holly has one more question. I'm going to see if I could address it while your guys are giving me gold stars and giving me dabs. Okay, this is a tough one. I press people for their opinion sometimes, and it would frustrate me if I couldn't get it out of my realtor. Okay. Well, here's the thing. It all goes back to what they're looking at you for. Okay. So that connection that you have with them is really interesting. So if you're relying primarily on the realtor and their opinion, okay, then what happens is this. You have to compare. If you're going to give an opinion, compare it to what they have told you as far as their future promise is concerned. So here's the thing. I wouldn't just sit here and say, you know, well, the house smells like Capapi, okay? What I would say is this. I would say, well, you know, this home checks a lot of boxes, and there's things that we could be doing that, you know, when we compare this to the other homes you saw, remember, you're leaving your home because you didn't have the space for your kids to have a playroom, things like that. This home offers you what you were looking for in your future promise. So give your opinion comparing it to their future promise. Your opinion compared to their future promise is important. It puts it into context, okay? Because if people are looking for advice, that's different. Because remember, I told you, don't give your opinion because someone in there just said, no, this is awful. You have to, no, can't steer away from this home. I'm saying advising them and giving an opinion are different things. And that's where I'm going to leave you guys. So thank you so much for the gold stars in the chat. Okay. I loved you guys participating. Thank you so much for an absolutely wonderful, amazing webinar. There's going to be more of these. There's going to be more Stu. There's going to be more Cynthia, more Joe. We're going to have more on this site, but you have to subscribe. You have to hit that like button, guys. So thank you so much for an amazing, fantastic, wonderful evening. I'm going to see you guys real soon.